Good afternoon. In this video, we're going to go over this week's options watch list. Before I get into the watch list, I just want to say if you're not in the room, you can find the link in the description of the video and in the bio section of social media. On the economic calendar this week, I don't see too much of anything, no Powell or anything like that. So we do have OPEC, and we get some of the numbers in the morning, like on Friday, unemployment and stuff like that. So nothing's too substantial. The market could be very choppy this week. I think that the market will end up keep grinding up and chopping until something happens. The next big thing to happen is FOMC in September. We only have 2 more trading days of August until we get to September. So yeah. Also, I don't have much on my bearish side because, like I said, I think that the market's just going to keep chugging up. I mean, there's really nothing that's going to end up making the market pull back. I mean, not unless something happens in Afghanistan or another event happens, or even if they mention taper again. I don't think the market's really going to go anywhere until FOMC, which is like around the 22nd, I believe. Well, what is that? What's the next month? Yeah, the 22nd. So I don't think we're going to see much. It's just going to see chop and grind up. So with that said, I got a couple on the bearish side and more on the bullish side. Got to keep it fairly simple this week. Now, also, I like to say that in the room, I post trade ideas every single morning. I usually post about 2 or 3 of the best ideas I see that I like. I don't like dropping a bunch of ideas and you having to, or not even just you, just me. I don't like watching 20 things at open because it opens so fast and so many things happen. I'm not going to watch 20 things at once. And if you're new or a beginner, you're not going to be able to handle watching too many at once either. So that's why, unlike all the other rooms, I see so many other rooms that post 10 ideas, and that's just unreasonable. You cannot watch 10 things at once, especially if you're new to the game or newer to the game. So I keep it simple: 2 or 3 ideas in the morning, what I'm exactly thinking and what I'm gonna do, and I adjust throughout the day. That's why you need to be in the room. And the gap ups and the gap downs do change the dynamic of the play. Like Baba last week when it gapped up like $10. I mean, the gap ups and the gap downs change the dynamic of the play and the setup. So that's why you need to be in the room, paying attention to what's going on in the trade ideas and what I'm doing, and because that does change quite a bit on a daily basis. So with that said, enough of me rambling. Netflix is on the bearish side. I know I've been mentioning the last couple weeks that it's probably going to break out. I mean, yeah, it could break out, but I don't know. It really struggles over this 565, 570 area. I mean, if it does manage to break out, I don't think it's going to get much higher than 580, but they've had bad guidance, and I'm actually surprised after the bad guidance they had that it keeps grinding up. So I'm kind of surprised about that, but it could break out. So I will be watching it for a breakout if it does manage to end up gapping up and grinding with the market. But I'm actually expecting it to come down. So I would watch it underneath 555 for push to 550, 545. 540, basically every $5 is a pretty big area. 535 is a pretty big area pivot right there. 535, then you get 530, then you get 525, 520. So then you get the actual bottom of the channel, because it's been channeling in this $100 range. I mean, I guess that's a pretty good big channel to be channeling in. 580, that's 480. I mean, that's $100 that's been bouncing in and out of since let's see, June of last year, for almost a year and a couple months, 14 months or so, 15 months. So it's no reason to think that it will get out of this channel. And if it does manage to break out, I just don't think it's going to break out. It's going to need some kind of catalyst or something, or it could break out just technically, but it seems kind of overvalued. But it doesn't mean anything these days. So many stocks are just overvalued, because if they weren't overvalued, they wouldn't sell off after earnings. So even like Amazon and other stocks have just been ramping up so much. So when they have earnings, they have like mind-boggling earnings, just massive beats, and they sell off dramatically. That just shows you how overvalued a lot of these things are. So I'll be watching that. I'll be watching Snap too. And on Snap, I know it had a decent Friday, but I still think that if it gets below the 70 area, it's going to fall apart. So I'd watch it underneath Friday's low, which would be under 7150. Push to 70. Now if it breaks to 70, it's got a gap fill down here to 63. So I'd be watching for a gap fill on this. So yeah, on the Friday's low, 71.50 to 70, and then 70 is going to be the do or die area for Snap, and then it's going to gap fill. So I'll be watching for that. The last one is Facebook. Now Facebook is like, like Netflix. I mean, it's channeling a little bit in the weekly. And let's see, obviously the weekly is the right, middle is daily, and the hourly is on the left. But you get its double topping right here on the daily and the weekly. And Facebook could definitely break out, but I'm watching it for a double top too, because like right here, it broke out really quickly, then it just got slammed. So we might end up seeing that. Could end up seeing a fake breakout on this. So, and that's another thing I like to mention about last week. Last week, the traps have been so relentless, and this could be the same thing. The traps could be so bad the next couple weeks because of FOMC, or the market trying to trick and trap and confuse people. But that's just part of trading. So I would be watching for a fake breakout on this if it does end up happening. So be careful of that. That's why I'm kind of thinking we're going to go on the short. I'm looking on the short bias on this because of this right here faking out and coming back down. So we could end up seeing the same thing and coming back down. Now if it does end up breaking out and continuing higher, I mean, it could go to 380, could even go to 400. 400 is pretty close. So but yeah, I mean, you could, like, it tried to double top here and rejected, then it finally did over here, broke out a little bit. So we'll have to see if it actually does that or not. Now on the bullish side, I have a little more. So one of them is Roku. Roku is just, I think, is poised to make a run here soon. Friday, it had a green day. It just tried to take off on Thursday, but it just didn't. So I would watch it over the 364 area, 365 area for push to 380, and then probably 400. 380 is right there. Then you got this 390 area, and then you have the 400 area right here. Where is it? Right there. You get 405. But we'll have to see if they'll actually do that. Now, when Roku gets a little momentum behind it, could end up having some strong moves. So I think that it's been having narrow ranges for a long time, and when it does have narrow ranges for a long time, it ends up making a strong move. So I wouldn't be a bit surprised if we end up seeing a nice 20-point move on Roku this week sometime. Hopefully it'll be like later in the week and not like tomorrow, because option prices will be at the highest point tomorrow, and they're just, I don't like trading Roku when the option prices are too high. So DLTR is another one I'd be watching. It got hammered on earnings and just gapped down. It's down to what, like 90 right now. So I would be watching that for a reversal. Fall's coming here, Christmas is coming here, retail is going to stop picking up. So like Walmart and Target, the dollar stores, Dollar General, Dollar Tree, and even Amazon will stop picking up. And I got Amazon on the list, I'll cover that soon. But I would watch for a dead cat bounce. I would say over 91 or even 92 for a push to 94. Then you get gap resistance right here, 97, 98. So I don't imagine it's going to push through gap resistance the first time. I mean, look over here. Last time I had an earnings dump, it went 2 days and it chopped and it popped and it couldn't get over gap resistance right here, and it just channeled and consolidated for quite a bit, and then it tried to get over gap resistance again, and it failed, and it finally went. So we could end up seeing this kind of a move like right here over here. So that's what I'm expecting, over 92 for push to 98. Possibly this week it could end up selling off a little more. I mean, I just think that if you can get Dollar Tree, if Dollar Tree goes to 80, I mean, this is definitely a one to grab shares and just hang on to, because this is going to go back to 120 plus without a doubt, because dollar stores do very, very well, especially in the fall season, Christmas season. People just use them to get party gifts and all kinds of things. So yeah. Baba is another one. Now Baba, it's been getting hammered on with the Chinese government and stuff like that. So now it had that. This was that monster gap up that I was talking about earlier. Then it just ended up selling off. But it could go lower. Yeah, it could definitely go lower to below 150. But I mean, this 150 area has been pretty strong. So I would watch it over, let's see, over Friday. So I have 161 for push to 165. Then you get the gap. Well, that's a gap right here, 165. Then you got 170. Then you get a gap hit 171. I just heard thunder. And 172. So I would definitely watch for that. Then UPS is another one. UPS, it's just been ranging in here, consolidating in the 193, 194 area. So I would watch for a push of 194. Now you can see that it tried to break gap resistance right here. Dropped on the earnings, came back up, got rejected. 90% of the time when they gap down, and it's a big gap down like that, and if the price gets away from the gap open, like right here where the gap open was 198 and it's down here to 188. When it gets that far away, 90% of the time, it's not going to break the first time. It's going to end up testing it and rejecting it and making another run for it. Usually making a cup and handle pattern, or making a inverted head and shoulders pattern. So those are the two patterns you want to see in gap resistance, because that's ends up being a indicator for a strong move up. But 90% of the time, you will not see a gap fill on the first shot, especially if it's a big earnings gap down and stuff like that. Like on Dollar Tree, and we just go back to that. I mean, right here, had its earnings gap down, rejected it there, and there. And it just couldn't get over it. It took a few tries, and it finally did. So I could show you just over and over and over that it does not happen. So... well, I mean, you can once in a while, but BA is the next one I'm watching. Now, BA, it was stair-stepping on the weekly, then it just lost steam. Now, it had this nice little drop right here down to the bottom of the Keltner channel. Then it came up, and now it's in like a flaggish pattern right here. It's consolidating in the 220 area. So, if it does manage to get... actually, you can even see it kind of like a cup and handle. There's a cup, there's a handle. You can say there's inverted head and shoulders. You can say that's a left shoulder right there, and that's the head, and it's the right shoulder. Either way, there's a little bit of a pattern forming right here. So I watched over 220, 223 for push to 225. You get gap right here at the 227. You get 230. You get another gap at the 233, 235 area. So... and you get 240. So I would watch BA for a strong move to possibly up to 240 this week. Hopefully there'll be some good news to get it going. But BA is so tricky to trade. Sometimes it's got a mind of its own. Sometimes it just likes to have a monster run and lose all its gains. But we'll have to see if that happened. On Friday I was expecting that, and it didn't. So It did have a strong close on Friday, so it could actually probably make a nice run this week. So I have to definitely keep an eye on BA. Now, pins is another one I'm watching now. Like right here, just like I said on DLTR and UPS, right here, a gap down for earnings, and it tried to make a run for the break. It didn't. Once in a while, they will. 10% of the time they will, and this time it didn't. Rejected it right there, and it came back down. So I would say likely what's going to end up happening, if I had to predict, that it's probably going to, if it does manage to continue, it's probably going to not break out at 60, reject, and do this right here over here on the right side, make an inverted inverted head and shoulders, and that's when you could end up seeing the strong run. So over 58 for a run to 60 and 61. Now, I'm not saying it will reject, because it could possibly go and fill the gap, but I'm just thinking that it might not. So definitely watch for that. Twitter is another one. Now, Twitter, I'm watching this for a run over 64, push to 65. Now, it does manage to get over 65. You got, let's see, 67 right here. You get 68. Basically, almost every whole dollar, 69, 70, 71, 72. Basically, every whole dollar on Twitter will be resistance. So the big one will be on the weekly at 72. So we'll definitely have to watch that over 64, and it is starting to make did make a reverse trend reversal right here, but now it's kind of like flagging. So we'll have to see if it'll break out of this flag and get over 64 and get a run to 70. So definitely be watching Twitter. Amazon. Now, Amazon had the earnings gap down, and even though it did try to break out right here, let me blow it up a little more. It did have the earnings gap, then it consolidated. It did try to break out. It did, and it just got rejected. So it didn't go fill a gap on the first shot. So Amazon could do the same thing as I was saying with pins. It could end up going to 3,400, 3,390, and kind of rejecting and making an inverted head and shoulders on the daily. But this is Amazon. Amazon, when it gets strength, it just could go. I mean, like, they could end up having this kind of a day right here if it gets over this. So this was a let's see, what was it, 35.29. It's a 150 point move right there. We could end up seeing that if Amazon gets over 3,400. I mean, this thing could end up making a $100 run very, very, very easily. Amazon just makes way too much money, and like I said, going into fall and Christmas, a lot of people use Amazon for the Christmas shopping. People still don't want to really go in public or go into crowded places because of the COVID Delta variant or whatever it's called now. But yeah, so it might even be a nice long play too for like a spread or something. Get like 4,000 call spread for out a year or two. This is not going to stand at 4,000 very long. I mean, look at this. It's just been channeling since for a year in this 3,000 to 3,500. So just like Netflix, but unlike Netflix, Amazon makes a ton of money and they sell a ton of stuff. So Amazon's going to be in a $4,000, $5,000 stock next year. So definitely could end up being a nice long play. But yeah, I think that we could end up seeing a 100 point move from Amazon this week. So definitely watch that for a play. And that's going to do it for the watch list. Now, like I said, that this week could be just a chop and grind, a gap and chop, like it's been the last couple weeks, where it'll gap up a couple dollars on SPY and just chop the whole day. And lately, the gap ups have been actually bigger than the actual range, and we'll have to see what happens this week. So I hate these narrow ranges like right here because it's so difficult to trade. But yeah, I like that. But that's going to do it for the watch list. Thanks for watching. Make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel, and hope to see you in your room. Thanks.